It's one of the most famous verses in the Bible. By this, all people will know that you are my disciples, if you have love for one another. We find that in John 13:35. And this quality, love, is unsurprisingly one of the 8 necessary characteristics of happy, healthy churches. NCD research shows that growing churches have a measurably higher love quotient than declining ones. What do I mean by a love quotient? How is it possible to measure love? Well, love, according to the Bible, is much more than that warm feeling. Love is something that shows itself in action. Scripture speaks about the fruit of the Spirit, for example, and this spiritual fruit is visible and therefore measurable to a certain extent. So as part of the NCD team's extensive research, one tool helped to measure the consequences of love in each church. This was a survey containing a set of questions that allowed the researchers to determine how loving the relationships among Christians were. For instance, they asked, how easy do members find it to share their feelings? How much can they rely on their friends at church? To what extent are the leaders aware of the personal problems of the workers within their congregation? How much laughter is there in the church? The researchers discovered that all of these points have a strong correlation with the growth of a local congregation. In fact, they turned out to be far more significant than many of the methods that Phil the church growth books were acquainted with. That shouldn't be surprising. The importance and impact of loving relationships is completely in line with what Scripture teaches. Authentic, practical acts of love give a church more magnetic power than all the marketing efforts in the world. Holistic small groups and loving relationships are connected to one another. In holistic small groups, we go deep with a few, while in loving relationships, we go wide with many. Discovering that loving relationships is a strength in your local church is an opportunity to explore how the breadth of the love experienced might be marshaled to assist a less well-developed quality characteristic. And should you find loving relationships to be a growth area, then taking time to consider the practice and experience of love within the congregation will aid your leadership team as they formulate relationship-building strategies for the next season of growth. When real love is present, we don't have to make a church grow. It begins to grow all by itself. So there you have it, the 8 qualities of a vibrant church community: empowerment, gift activation, passion, effectiveness, inspiration, community, need orientation, and love. Each characteristic is necessary for a church to grow in numbers and in quality. They are universally valid principles applicable to every individual church and member, regardless of their ethnicity or cultural background. And as always, the outworking of the principles looks slightly different in each local context. It is wonderful to notice that the NCD research, which is the most comprehensive church growth research ever undertaken, simply confirms what God has already said in His Word. As each one of us continues to develop all 8 qualities in our personal lives and our churches, we'll begin to see beautiful changes happening as our churches become healthier, happier places all by themselves.